You got to be kidding me. I mean, I will say they got me good on this one because I did not expect the show to take this path. That was good. And the thing is, I expected a lot from this episode. I expected certain things to happen, but when I tell you, I was completely unprepared for this. So I'm gonna start my review from the beginning of the episode, but I just had to start the video with this part because I was so shocked at the end. From start to finish, this episode had so much to see. Like when Dexter was pulling up to the swamp and the police officer said, "Hey, you might want to turn around. This is an active crime scene." And then Dexter, being as smooth as he actually wants to be, he was like, "I'm actually supposed to be here. I'm forensics." And then, Masuka was like, "Well, I thought I was riding solo dolo today, but come on, let's get some work done." So it's sort of like Dexter had perfect timing because he had to get there and kind of cover his tracks from this murder so he didn't get any kind of eyes on him. And he is quite the opportunist. But he faked a whole alligator attack. Like, that was really smooth of Dexter. So, like, I keep saying, Dexter tries to pretend like he's awkward, but I think he's only awkward in certain instances. He's pretty smooth for the most part. Like, he's able to lie his way out of stuff. He's able to pretend like he's stupid. Like, he knows what he's doing. He's very good at manipulation. But LaGuerta was still pissed about him letting that gator get that arm, though. She was like, "How did you let this happen?" And then Masuka jumped in and was like, "Man, he could have been killed. Also, let's go get something to eat because we don't have evidence now." And as good as that scene went for Dexter, the next scene where he had to dump Levi Reed's body, it was actually pretty messy. Dexter is being sloppy and careless in this scene. He's literally trying to dump a dead body in broad daylight. He's showing that he's a novice for real. So what's going on with Dexter is sort of what's going on with the serial killer that he had that theory about that Harry and LaGuerta are looking for. He said that the serial killer is looking for his method. That's why he's doing different things. And Dexter is doing the same thing. He's trying to figure out his killing method, but then also the dumping process. And he hasn't been talking about this, but I think he's actually trying to consider what kind of trophies he can take from his kills. And there's a nod to that with the blood splatter slides. So after he comes back from literally dumping a body, he had to smell like dumpster juice because Deb and Harry were like, "Hey, you smell horrendous. We need you to back up off of us." They didn't want to get close to this man and had the nerve to come in this house and go in the refrigerator without washing hands or body. And I'm glad to see that he's actually able to communicate well with Harry, talking about what he did well, what he did not do well, how he fixed that mess up. But Harry is telling the truth when he's saying, "Hey, you flying too close to the sun. You don't want to keep having to dodge bullets. The point is you don't want to get shot at in the first place." But that's what happens when you're new to the game. Now go take a shower. Dexter might have to chill out on telling Harry too much stuff because he's stressing that man out. Harry just had to plop it down and smoke a little cigarette real quick. And you know he's not supposed to be smoking with his condition. He's about due for another heart attack if Dex keeps playing. And so now Dex is looking for a new dump spot since Alligator Alley is hot. And so he was about to head to the evidence room to kind of look through different killers that had their own kind of dump process. And he saw Angel kind of looking through the Tony Ferreira files. And Angel was spot on in his assessment. He was like, "This is not a regular John Doe. This is Tony F we talking about. And I need the details." And Dexter, being as smooth as I said he was, redirected Angel from the Tony Ferreira case back to Nicky Spencer. Talking about if this is actually Tony, then somebody did the world a favor. He's dead. Why not focus your talent and your skill set on helping us find this kid? It needs to be all hands on deck. Dexter is so good at that, and Angel thanked him for talking him off that ledge and helping him refocus. Meanwhile, Polo Nicky is in that cell. He done made a shank and everything. So when the person came to give him his Lunchable situation, he was like, "You got to come in here and make me eat this motherfucker." Like, it was intense. I was like, "Oh, look at this little kid knowing how to cuss." So the person came in dressed like one of the killers from American Horror Story. Lil Nicky was putting up a fight for a second. He even cut the perp. And I said, that blood gonna be used for something. And little did I know that I was right. They still took Lil Buddy's finger though. So I feel really bad for Deb because Deb is just out here kind of by herself floating. She doesn't have any guidance. Harry's a horrible father. He's always neglectful of her. He gives way more attention to Dexter. Even though he's not even his biological son, I feel like he's treating Dexter like the other son that he lost. I think he's trying to process some guilt there, but I'd like to think that that guilt would help him be a better father, but it isn't. So she done got in an argument with her best friend, done punched the girl on her volleyball team in the face, made her nose all bloody. Now I would say that she deserved that, but you did steal that woman's car and mess it up. She had a right to confront you. My message to her would have been, don't touch anybody unless you're willing to throw hands. Because Deb was still in her stance ready to keep going. So one thing I really enjoy about this show is how it displays Dexter's actual development into who he is and what he became in the original series. And one thing about him is he's very detail oriented when it comes to work. He's an absolute zealot when he's trying to figure out what happened on the scene. And he's right most of the time. So when that finger came in from Nicky Spencer, he was the one that examined that box and found the extra drop of blood from the potential assailant. I've always thought he would be a great detective, but he doesn't want to do all that because he's actually trying to take people out. So I usually don't love the flashback scenes with Laura and Harry, but this time she actually got to meet Hector Estrada. Now when I tell you he had her stripped down butt naked and come outside in that robe, she didn't know where she was. But then he came out that water looking like Aquaman, and I was like, now bruh, what's going on? What's the workout regimen? Because that man didn't look like he had no body fat on him. That was a whole superhero, a drug dealing criminal activity superhero. So he asked her to get in the pool and go for a swim with him. Now they did not swim at all. They sat down on the edge of the pool and just talked to each other in the water. And he told Laura he wanted her to come to a meeting at one of the loading docks, and he said it would help you learn the operation better. And so I will say that we're getting much closer to that moment where we find her in that storage container. And that's only if they decide to stick with the storyline from the original series, because he definitely told his guy to watch her. All it'll take is one visit from Harry or Bobby, and it's a wrap for her. So back at the Morgan Hacienda, Deb and Harry are having a conversation. And Harry is like, why are you not at volleyball practice? And she's like, probably because I got kicked off the team and because I got suspended from school for punching old girl in the face. And Harry was like, well, what about your scholarship? Because I'm going to be honest, I can't afford to send you to FSU without you having a scholarship. And Deb was like, well, maybe college ain't for me. Like, I might not go. And honestly, I think Deb is just tired of Harry. She's like, well, you haven't been paying attention to me, so I don't really care. So she was like, I'm finna go out with my man, Gio about to pull up. Don't wait up. And while I'm trying to reserve judgment for Gio and just let him prove that he's a good guy, I still in the back of my mind believe that he might be a super criminal. And he's just over there watching Deb, taking her out, doing all kinds of stuff, bedding her. A lot of this stuff just sounds too good to be true for Deb. Because generally, if you look at her life, a lot of things go south real fast. So I'm guessing we're going to have to just wait and see what happens with Gio and Deb. I'm hoping for the best, but I'm expecting the worst. So speaking of the best, Dexter keeps showing why he is the best at work. This man done found additional clues about this Nicky Spencer case. So he had already found that additional blood drop on the outside of the box that had Nicky's finger in it. And then you add to that he was looking at that cut again on his finger and said that looked more like hesitation, whereas in Jimmy Powell's case, it was no hesitation with the cut. So he was like, maybe there was a personal connection between the assailant and the victim. And he saw that the captain was sitting in his seat and was wondering why he was at his desk so early in the morning. He was looking through the evidence of that Nicky Spencer case and, nothing would be thought of it. That's his son. So he's looking through the files trying to figure out what he could see. And he said, too bad your theory didn't work out about the blood. And Dexter was like, I did find some additional information that might help us. And then he shares his thought process with the captain about the finger being cut with hesitation and what that could potentially mean, the closeness between the victim and the assailant. Now, Dexter wasn't thinking about this, and neither was I, until we both saw this bandage on his wrist. And I said, this heifer right here, how you gonna kidnap your own son, bruh, and then cut his finger off? The fact that you did this to your own son, plus Judge Powell's son, this is crazy. You gotta be some kind of special demon to do this. Do you work for a cartel or are you actually trying to frame a cartel? What tripped me out is the man did a whole press conference for Jimmy Powell knowing exactly where he was. Talking about we gonna bring his killer to justice. Fam, you are the justice. So this makes me wonder, what kind of cases have you been working on that you've been like throwing away the evidence or kind of covering stuff up? Because it would appear that you have been bringing mayhem to Miami for many moons. I just have so many questions. And then when I see him buying groceries at the end, he's buying those old school Lunchables. I don't know. I forgot what they call Sunny something. But like, this is so crazy that he is at the store just buying it with a smile on his face. I was totally unprepared, but I cannot wait to see what happens next week. So my prediction for the next episode is that Dexter is going to follow the captain and find out where he's holding his son, save his son, and then not, be the hero so everybody sees that he saved him, but he's going to save him and probably set him free somewhere. He's probably going to like knock the captain out or something. And then he's going to make sure the son is in a safe space. And then he's going to come back to kill the captain. And once the captain is gone, LaGuardia's going to take his spot eventually. Now that part may not happen next episode, but I do see that coming in the future. Now what I do see happening next episode is Laura being caught and put in one of those storage containers. She's being watched, but she's acting as though she's not being watched, which is crazy. That man made you strip down as soon as you walked in his house. What makes you think that you won't get caught just over here talking to Harry and Bobby? Thank you for watching this review. Get down in those comments and let me know what you thought of the episode. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you can. Hit that notification bell.